So we just got the season finale for Chucky, and this is the conclusion of the third season, this TV series, which I've really enjoyed. I always love tuning in. I like that we're getting some of this long-form storytelling with Chucky, and although I overall prefer the movies and it feels more special that way, and just to some degree, I kind of feel like we're missing a bit of that with this series. I'm still very happy that we did get these, and I think that season 3 was overall a good course correction from some of the mistakes that I think that they were starting to make in season 2. But that brings me to the future of Chucky, where he should go next, what they should do with him. Should they go with another season, which it seems like they're doing. They're putting out a campaign of, call this number to get Chucky season 4. That concerns me a bit with how the viewership and the ratings are. I don't know if that's an indication that they've dropped significantly or dwindled. I really hope not, but overall that kind of leaves it in the state of where should it go? Should it continue on this show path? Should it continue with another movie, which they also announced? And in my opinion, I think that they should go the route of another movie. We just got 3 seasons of a television series. I feel like at that point, it's at least for now a good place to stop, but I have a lot of thoughts on where they could go, where they should go, what direction they should take going forward. And the first of all which with this movie is that I think it should be kind of not a reboot, but another movie that doesn't shackle itself too hard to continuity, to characters. I think it would be better to maybe steer clear of Jake, Devin, and Lexi, maybe leave some of the Tiffany stuff behind, just a little bit of that, maybe have cameos, maybe have references, stuff like that, but maybe take the Curse of Chucky approach, where most of the movie at least could be kind of considered an individual project that could be standalone and more of an on-ramp for an audience. I feel like the first season of Chucky was really good with being an on-ramp for audiences, filling them in with what's happened in the past, but also being its own thing, being a new direction, having new starring characters that could take the reins of the franchise, give Chucky a new place to cause mischief and issues. And overall, that's what I really like about that first season. I think that some of the weaker parts of season 2 are that they really do bog themselves so far down in the continuity. They also play with the rules a lot. It gets a little out of control. I think that they don't firmly establish limitations to Chucky, which I think you need in order to keep things interesting. And even then with that, one of my highest viewed videos is talking about how I think they did course correct from that in Chucky season 3, in giving him this running clock, giving him the stakes, having him die and not be able to go into another body, just make another copy. Being one singular entity, I think really raised the stakes of that season, and overall paid forward big time in the way of credibility. And that's my next point. Keep it to one Chucky. Some of the best, most suspenseful bits of this franchise is when it's just Chucky causing mischief, making things disappear, poisoning people, doing things behind the scenes, finding creative new ways to kill people, using that element of surprise of being a doll in order to make that happen. I think it gets a little out of control when he could just make a new copy of himself whenever he wants, hunt by numbers. It gets a little out of control, just a bit out there for me, and I prefer when it's a bit more concise and there's a bit more kind of a focused angle to his character. And like I mentioned with what I thought was the biggest improvement of season 3, that's what it does essentially. It limits it to one Chucky. He's causing issues in the White House, killing people, forcing cover-ups and stuff because it's the White House. Those are the most interesting aspects of the series for me, and kind of taking that model and applying it to the movie I think would make it the most interesting, but also be another avenue of an on-ramp for a general audience that maybe just doesn't have too much familiarity with Chucky but has an awareness of him, and it gives them the ability to kind of hop on the franchise. Next up, what I think would definitely go a long way in making this movie better is to not go over the top, not go overly campy, overly silly, don't get too out there with the concepts. Although I really enjoy season 2, and there's really no pieces of this franchise I dislike. I appreciate at the very least all of it or enjoy it. Season 2 and Seed of Chucky are definitely my least favorite. I think it's because just sometimes they don't take the logic or the characters seriously sometimes. That over-the-top comedic nature gets to be a little overbearing, and then it becomes the whole franchise. It becomes the whole point of it. It just is a bit frustrating to me when these characters aren't being taken at least a little bit seriously or being a bit grounded by the logic of the universe. There's no point to me in any kind of investment when you could just make up any rule, do whatever you want, fuck logic, fuck taking anything seriously, because if you don't take it seriously, why should I? Not that it's ever really crossed way too far of a line, it's just that when I look back at what I like better in this franchise and what I like less, it all comes down to that. And I also think that going too over the top would ding that accessibility to audiences. It would make it less successful in the long run. I think that it would alienate some people that are potentially giving this franchise a try for the first time. You gotta think of it like this. We haven't had a theatrical movie in 20 years. Even Curse of Chucky at this point, it's been over 10 years. I guess we had a theatrical Chucky in 2019 with that Child's Play remake, but that was just so different that I think it turned a lot of people off, or they weren't interested. I also think there's just general remake fatigue to a certain degree. I really enjoyed that remake. I don't feel the same way as a lot of people, and I was there opening night. And to a certain degree, I think that movie maybe was hurt by having the title Child's Play. If they were to release a movie, I think the best thing they could do is call it Chucky. This Chucky. Something about Chucky. You know, having Chucky in the title, I think, would definitely give it a boost. Because this is a very popular character. I waited in line for 4 hours to meet Brad Dourif. I had to show up at like 8 o'clock in the morning to make that happen at a horror convention. Very popular character, very rabid fan base, very dedicated and loyal fan base. And although that's important, you also need to bring in the new people, bring in the new generations. And I feel like there hasn't been anything in a long time besides maybe the first season of the TV series that would bring the audience on in a way that kind of carries it forward. And the way that you need to do that is by tapering a little bit, controlling yourself a bit, not getting too crazy or doing too many things that would leave a bad taste in people's mouths and make them be like, yeah, you know, I guess this franchise isn't for me. It's a little too weird. It's a little too out there. And that brings me to my next point. Release it theatrically. The main Chucky, Brad Dourif's Chucky, like I said, hasn't been in theaters in 20 years at this point. It's been way too long since we've had the main OG Chucky in theaters, and it would be really exciting to get to go see a new Chucky movie in theaters with the original character. It's one of the few continuities where they've actually maintained it throughout the entirety of its lifetime. Yeah, they had the remake, but the original franchise is still going. It's not like other franchises where they had their remake and that pretty much put a cap on the OG series, unless they did a requel or whatever. This series has consistently gone since 1988, and it doesn't really seem like it has any intentions of stopping, and that's a good thing. But the way that you do this is, I think, rather than just being a small screen thing, Chucky has the appeal to be a big screen thing, to be that popular character that he's known to be. People buy merch all the time for Chucky. I see Chucky shirts all the time. They sell Chucky stuff like crazy at Hot Topic, other places. This is a very popular character, and I don't know why, if you don't have a great movie, you couldn't capitalize on that in the theaters. And that brings me to my final point. Go all in on Chucky's personality. Capitalize on it. Do what Child's Play 2 did. Basically, with Child's Play 1, it was a very good start, kind of almost like a pilot episode to this franchise. It develops things slowly, puts you in the world of Chucky, and, you know, is more about the scares and everything, but Child's Play 2 has the thrills, the personality. That's why it's a lot of people's favorites. That's why it's my favorite, because it's the flashier version of this. I think that that's definitely too why the TV series tried to model its aesthetic after the second movie. It uses the Child's Play 2 theme as the intro. There's a reason for that. It's because Chucky's personality is what's kept this franchise so popular. It's why people love it. At the end of the day, it's all about this character. He's a character I'm very passionate about, a character that I want to see continue, and I want to see him at his best. Really, too, it's just movies like Child's Play 2, like Bride of Chucky, they get the balance so perfect with his personality without going too far, without being too goofy, without being too much. I think it's the perfect balance and medium between the two, and that's why that's the approach that they should go, and that's ultimately what will sell this movie. Your guy, that's like I was saying, that should be the title, Chucky. You don't need any more than that, you don't need any less, because that's what it is, it's Chucky. The character is what will sell this. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Is this the direction you want Chucky to go? Is this where he should go next? Love to hear your thoughts. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.